It was a crisp Tuesday morning, the kind where the air smells like fresh-cut grass and coffee feels like a warm hug. I was lounging on my dad's porch, scrolling through my phone, when two police cruisers rolled up to the curb. Their lights weren't flashing, but the sight still made my stomach twist. Two officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts, looking more curious than alarmed. Behind them, striding like she owned the neighborhood, was Linda Harper, arms crossed, her face twisted into that smug grin I'd come to loathe over the past month. She pointed at my dad, who was sipping his coffee from a chipped ceramic mug, looking as threatening as a napping cat. "Officers, thank God you're here." Linda's voice dripped with drama, like she was auditioning for a crime show. "This man's been squatting in this house for weeks. I've got proof." She waved a thick folder like it was a smoking gun. Dad didn't even flinch. He set his mug down with a soft clink, stood up, and strolled to the front door. When he came back, he was carrying his old leather briefcase, the one he'd used during his 40 years as a real estate lawyer. The officers exchanged a glance as he opened it, pulling out a deed, then something that made Linda's smirk waver. The original HOA founding documents from 1978, his signature bold and clear as the first president. Officer Daniels raised an eyebrow at Linda. "Ma'am, you sure about this complaint?" Linda's face went as white as her pristine sneakers. Let me rewind a bit to explain how he got here. Linda Harper had stormed into Maplewood Estates 2 years ago, but 3 months back, she'd clawed her way into the HOA president role, preaching a zero-tolerance crusade for community standards. She treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom, prowling the streets with a clipboard and measuring tape, hunting violations with the zeal of a dog chasing a squirrel. She'd fine the Thompsons for Leah VYing their trash cans out 10 minutes too long, slapped the Mendozas with a notice because their grass was a quarter-inch too tall. To her, rules weren't guidelines, they were gospel. My dad, Henry Brooks, wasn't just any resident. He'd built this house in 1976, poured his heart into every brick, and founded the HOA 2 years later to keep the neighborhood thriving. After Mom passed last year, the condo he'd moved to downtown felt like a ghost town. So he sold it and came back to the home where he'd raised me and my sister. Problem was he'd been renting the place out for 15 years, so to newer folks like Linda, he was just some old guy who showed up one day. No MOVYing truck, no fanfare. To her paranoid mind, that screamed suspicious. Linda's obsession kicked into gear the moment Dad settled in. I started spotting her silver SUV parked across the street at weird hours, her eyes glued to the house like she was staking out a bank heist. She'd walk her yappy little dog past our driveway 3 times a day, slowing down to snap photos of the windows or Dad's car. Neighbors had their own horror stories about her. She measured my mailbox height. One groaned, said it was off by an inch. Another got a violation for a faded porch light. When I asked around, eyes rolled so hard I thought they'd pop out. Things boiled over one Saturday afternoon. Dad was out front, pruning his rose bushes, humming an old jazz tune, when Linda marched up the driveway like she was VYing a warrant. "I need to see your lease agreement and ID," she barked, clutching her folder of EVY Denke. Dad, who'd dealt with tougher nuts than Linda in his lawyer days, barely looked up. "Not your business, Miss Harper." Her face turned beet red. "As HOA president, everything here is my business," she snapped. Dad just went back to his roses, which only made her madder. "I'll call the police," she shrieked, storming off. True to her word, that evening, she dialed 911, spinning a tale about a suspicious man trespassing in an unoccupied residence. She told the dispatcher she had proof of squatting and demanded action. When the cops showed up that night, they found Dad on his porch, reading a book under the glow of a lamp. Linda launched into her speech about property values and dangerous squatters, but the officers weren't buying it. Dad handed over his deed, showing 30 years of ownership. I thought that'd shut her up, but Linda doubled down, accusing him of forging it. "Arrest him," she demanded, like she was directing a MOVYE. That's when Dad opened his briefcase again, pulling out the HOA charter he'd written in 1978, his name listed as founding president, complete with meeting minutes from the first election. Linda's jaw dropped, but she still wouldn't back down. Officer Daniels radioed the county to verify the documents, while his partner jotted down Linda's claims. As they waited, Linda's voice got shriller, insisting the papers were elaborate fakes and Dad was a criminal mastermind. The officers exchanged looks, the kind that say, "We're dealing with a nutcase." When the county confirmed every document was legit, the mood shifted. Linda wasn't the hero anymore. She was the one who'd filed a false police report. The officers pulled her aside, but her voice carried across the yard. "I had proof," she whined, but admitted she'd never seen a lease or MOVing truck, just assumed Dad was trouble. When Daniels explained she could face charges for misusing 911, Linda demanded to speak to his super VY soar, like she was arguing with a cable company. Within 2 days, Linda was hit with charges, filing a false police report, harassment, and criminal trespass for her creepy surveillance. The neighborhood buzzed like a beehive. Ring doorbell clips of Linda's sneaky drive-bys spread faster than a VY Ral VY Deo. An emergency HOA meeting was called, and residents didn't hold back. "She fined me for my kids' chalk drawings," one fumed. "She measured my hedges with a ruler," another spat. The vote to boot her from the board was unanimous, with Dad's harassment cited as the final straw. In a twist, they drafted Dad as an honorary ad VY Sayer to fix the HOA's mess. The man who just wanted to tend his roses was now the neighborhood's reluctant hero. Linda's downfall didn't stop there. The charges stuck, and she faced up to 6 months in jail plus hefty fines. Her real estate career tanked. Her brokerage dropped her after the arrest hit the local news, not wanting the bad press. Her house went up for sale within a month, and she slunk out of Maplewood before her court date, unable to face the neighbors she'd terrorized. Dad stayed classy, never gloating, just sipping his coffee and pruning his roses like nothing happened. The real kicker came weeks later. While sorting old HOA files, someone found Linda's 2019 membership application. It had been rejected by the Ad VY Sorry committee chaired by none other than Dad. She'd held a grudge ever since, and when she saw him back in the neighborhood, she saw her chance for revenge. Instead, she picked a fight with the wrong man. In court, Linda pleaded guilty to the false report charge. The judge wasn't lenient. 90 days in county jail, 2 years probation, and due law 1,500 fines. As the gavel fell, her face crumpled. She'd expected a slap on the wrist, not real consequences. Maplewood threw a block party the next weekend, and Dad got a standing ovation. Neighbors apologized for not calling out Linda sooner, but Dad just waved it off. "Live and learn," he said, raising his coffee mug. "Now let's talk. Was Linda just overzealous, or was she out for power from the start? Should Dad have confronted her sooner, or was his quiet approach the ultimate checkmate? Could the neighborhood have stopped her reign of terror before it got this far? And what's the wildest HOA story you've got can top this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're Team Henry, and subscribe for more stories that'll make your jaw drop.